line is returning intact. So a lot of really good players that are really well coached, and their whole fastball system is something that's always a challenge for the defense to get lined up and play with great poise and be able to focus on doing your job. So it's a real challenge for us from that standpoint. Defensively, they're really improved from a year ago in their statistics and the way they've played. I think they got a little different system that they're playing, dropping a little bit more like Arkansas, like with a little more 8 drops and playing a little more odd type stuff. So, and they have done it extremely well. And, because they've got good team speed, they're good on special teams. They got a great punter. So, this is a really good team overall, and going to be a real challenge for us come Saturday, but we're definitely looking forward to it. We're making progress as a team, and I think it's going to, we need to continue to do that this week.
Okay, with that, we'll start with Aaron.
What do you make of your run game so far? A lot of great runs on the perimeter on Saturday, and do you differentiate? How do you differentiate between outstanding runs on the perimeter and inside running between the tackles?
Well, we had some good runs inside too. I think our running game was a little bit big, little, and I think when teams stun a lot, which is, Southern Miss was, really kind of moving up front and cutting gaps and things like that, sometimes you get the bear and sometimes the bear gets you. So it was a little bit big, little, what I call. We made some really explosive runs inside and out. And, sometimes we had some plays where, they gave us issues. So we just need to continue to work on block and movement, and I think that'll be helpful to us.
We'll go to Michael Casagrande next.
How would you assess the downfield passing game, and how did that 81-yard pass to Jamison Williams maybe boost confidence there?
Well, I think that, many times players have success. It's probably going to help their confidence. We need to continue to work on vertical passing game, good play action. And, we were very successful in that game doing some of those things. I think to continue to do that will be a critical factor for us. We got more players involved. Tight ends did a nice job in the game of catching balls. And so, I think it's a big part of what we do, doing some of the run the ball effectively, try to throw good play action passes, throw in the RPOs and be a decent drop back team when you need to be. That's kind of what we want to continue to strive for.
We'll go to Cecil Hurt.
Coach, you mentioned Ole Miss using a lot of 8 drops. How many teams have tried to defend you that way this year, and how has Bryce responded to that?
We got a little bit in the Mercer game. So, I think, we have to have a good plan against it. Everybody's got to execute well. I think Bryce is capable of recognizing it and getting the ball to the right guys. So, it's something that we need to work on this week, and probably didn't work on it as much against Mercer because they hadn't done it that much in the past. So it'll be a real, key for us to be able to do a good job against, that type of thing.
Go to Charlie Potter.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned Matt Corral in your opening. Just what kind of progress have you seen from him throughout the course of his career?
Well, he played really well against us last year. The guy's very elusive. He can extend plays, very accurate passer, executes their offense extremely well. He can make plays with his feet. He does pull the ball every now and then. They do have a quarterback run here and there, not a lot, but just enough to, sort of make you defend it on defense. But the combination of things that they do in the running game and the passing game, they're difficult to defend, and he is about as talented as guys anybody we've seen run and pass for a long time.
Go to John Zener with the AP.
Yeah, what do you like about Bryce Young's demeanor? He's handled a lot of things, different circumstances on the field, but he also seems to have handled himself off the field well.
Well, I think it's his personality. He's a pretty sort of, he's got it together. He does the right things off the field. He's very well grounded, as a person. He's very smart. He's bright. He makes good choices and decisions in everything that he does. And I think that's just who he is. And I think it's an asset for especially a guy that has his level of experience to have that demeanor because he doesn't get frustrated and he can go play the next play. And he makes a lot of really good plays. But I think he's constantly learning and developing as we go, as he's making these plays.
We'll go to Nick Kelly in Tuscaloosa.
Where's B-Rob's health at heading into this week?
Yeah, B-Rob's going to practice today, and hopefully, we'll go day to day with him and see how he develops. But we're hopeful that he'll be, 100% by game time.
We'll go to Blake Totmeyer.
And Nick, Lane is asked quite a bit about what he learned from you during his time in Tuscaloosa. I'm curious, what would you say is the biggest thing that you learned from Lane?
Well, we kind of took on the task when he came here of, changing the whole offense to be more spread, to be more RPO oriented, to use, motions and formations to create issues and problems for the defense. And he did a marvelous job of that when he was here. He's continued to build on it. But I'd say I learned that from him because we sort of made that change. So we all had to get sort of, together on how we were going to do things and what we're going to do. And he did a really good job of that. And he's very bright, good, really good play caller. So I learned a lot of offensive football from him.
We'll go to Steven.
Coach, Alabama, a lot of young guys in the defensive line, but where has Jamil Burroughs taken that next step?
He's working and doing a good job. He's got really good quickness and explosive, power. I think, the thing with most of our young guys is they have to be able to execute and do what they're supposed to do. If they're supposed to slant, if they're supposed to take a different gap. And I think that's the biggest challenge. And when you make errors with anybody in the front seven, people don't really see that because somebody else usually makes the tackle, but it's no different than making an error in the back end where people do see it because it usually winds up being some kind of a big play and it happens in space. But it's just as critical that our young players can, really be disciplined and understanding what their job is and so that they can go out there and execute the team defense part of it. And he's certainly improving in that regard.
Unless we have any follow-ups, we'll finish up with Tony. Tony, go ahead.
Yeah, when Bryce is making a play or escaping or running out with his legs, is there ever a moment where maybe you're surprised from what he can do on the sidelines? And just as a head coach, what is your thought process like when he's kind of making those escaping plays?
Well, I think we want the quarterback to escape. I think we want to, first of all, protect for him so he doesn't have to escape, but having, a good feel for the pocket, when to step up, when to move, where to move to, when to run, when to throw it. Those are all instinctive things that I think make a guy a really good quarterback. So, I'm always very pleased to see, his ability to do all those things. We don't want him to take hits, but he can take hits in the pocket or he can take hits out of the pocket. We just got to do a good job of playing around him so he doesn't have to take those hits. But his instinct in the pocket is a real asset for him.
Okay, we do have one follow-up here, and we'll finish up with this. Aaron, go ahead.
You mentioned the progress that Ole Miss has made on defense from last year to this year. What areas sort of jump out to you in studying from last year to this year's unit?
Well, they just have a good system and a good scheme, and they've, I think they went and studied some things, and they do a good job of executing it. They know what they're doing, and their players are, really know what they're doing. I think, last year was a little bit of an anomaly when it came to, if you're a new staff, how do you get, what you want to do implemented? And I think, they probably went through that on defense a little bit, last year because of COVID. This year, because they've had the spring, they've had the summer, they've had a year to know what kind of adjustments they need to make relative to the players they have. And they've done a really good job of that.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time.
And that was Alabama football head coach Nick Saban as he addressed the media following the Crimson Tide's dominating win over Southern Miss on Saturday. We are expecting to hear from quarterback Bryce Young and also defensive tackle Fedarian Mathis in just a moment right here on CBS 42 now. We will keep an eye right here live at the podium there in Tuscaloosa. Coach Saban giving his comments on the game from Saturday and also looking forward to the big-time matchup, the top 25 matchup against Ole Miss this coming Saturday that you can find right here on CBS 42 at 2:30. Again, that game is on Saturday. And we just got not necessarily breaking news, but very important news for the Crimson Tide fans. The game following this Saturday, the Crimson Tide will be taking on another top 25 opponent, the Texas A&M Aggies. That game has been scheduled to be shown at 7 p.m. on October 9th, and that game will also be over here on CBS 42. So CBS 42 is really going to be your place to view the Crimson Tide over the next few weeks in these big-time matchups. The Crimson Tide look to defend their title. Again, as I mentioned, we are expecting to hear from Alabama quarterback Bryce Young in just a matter of moments, as well as defensive tackle Fedarian Mathis. Those were the two selected players to speak at this press conference. It appears that Fedarian is approaching the podium now, so we will send you there live once again.
All right, we'll start with Charlie Potter.
Hey, Phil. I know on Mondays you guys usually haven't watched a lot of film yet, but just how much of a challenge was this Ole Miss offense last year for you guys?
Nick Kelly.
I don't know if you guys heard the answer to that, but I think it was muted for that. But my question is about Matt Corral, the quarterback. What challenges does he present as a defensive lineman trying to get after him?
You know, we got to contain them well, you know, make sure we keep them in a pocket. And just as a defensive line, we got to rush it all. You know, everybody got to get their own gaps.
Charlie, do you want to go back and ask your question again?
Yeah, I can do that. I think you heard me, but just what kind of challenge was the Ole Miss offense last year overall?
So, you know, they're a very great offensive line overall. And they do a lot of fastballs, so we got to prepare well for that all week long.
Katie.
This is kind of similar to Charlie's question, but Coach Saban just called Ole Miss's offense one of the best in the country. So early in the week of practice, as kind of a leader on the defense, you know, what kind of mentality does the defense have to have going into this week, knowing you're facing one of the best offenses in the country?
You know, that Bama standard, you know, we got to bring that Bama standard all week long, just get the guys rolling and be ready to play come Saturday.
Tony.
Yeah, Phil, what is your assessment of the run defense and how much improvement do you guys think you made from Florida to Southern Miss and then kind of moving forward?
You know, I think we made a lot of improvement. You know, it was just getting in on the little things and, you know, locking in and staying focused. You know, Coach preached on the little things all week long, and we just got to get back to that, you know, and it starts by, you know, understanding the Bama standard, you know, just going out, playing hard, physical for 4 quarters.
Jacob.
Phil, I know you're leading the team in sacks. You take a lot of pride in that. But when you're going up against a team like Ole Miss that's, you know, going to throw the ball a lot, and they've got a great quarterback in Matt Corral, kind of what's your thought process in attacking that passing scheme with Lane Kiffin?
You know, watching a lot of film, just knowing my opponent, you know, getting to know him all week long, you know, seeing what he does and, you know, finding out the crinks, the little things that he does wrong so I can attack it well, you know, and add it to my playlist for the game.
Michael.
Yeah, what do you remember about last year's game at Ole Miss? Defensively, it was just kind of back and forth, a shootout. How exhausting was it? What was that game like?
You know, it was a good experience for us. You know, I think it was a wake-up calling, you know, for the Alabama team. But at the end of the day, you know, that's last year, and this a new season. So we're going to come out there with that Bama mentality this Saturday and ready to roll.
Steven.
Phil, coach talked about having that spirit, and you kind of take pride in getting the team hyped up, getting the team energized before the game. Like, what goes into whether you're doing a dance or you're doing something to get the guys' mind right, energy-wise?
You know, man, that's I think, you know, we need somebody on the team to take on that role, and I don't mind doing it. You know, I enjoy doing it because I know I don't got that much time left in here, so I'm trying to make as much memories that I can. You know, also just being a good leader, you know, bringing that energy to the field so the guys can get rolling.
John.
Yeah, Phil, how big of a challenge is a guy like Matt Corral who can make all the throws, but he also extends plays and can run, kind of like your own quarterback?
You know, just preparing for them all week long. You know, like I say, we got to contain them well. You know, the D-line and also our linebacker just got to control our gaps, you know, be able to push the pocket, you know, get them uncomfortable.
Tony.
Yeah, you said last year, but most of the time you guys are the bulliers, not the bullies. Is this one kind of personal for y'all after what happened last year? And do you guys kind of have something to prove, I guess?
Nah, man, it's just another game on the schedule, man. And we just going to go out and do what we got to do.
Charlie.
Yeah, Phil, you talked about being a leader. How have you seen a guy like Will Anderson kind of start to step into that role of being a leader on the defense?
You know, he's been doing very good. Will, you know, he leads by example. For me, you know, he's not a big talker, but his play, the way he play, man, it shows. And I think a lot of guys, you know, want to be just like that. And I think he brings a lot of injury. I said injury. I can't get the word out. But he brings a lot of excitement to the game, man. And I feed off it just as well the other guys do.
Final questions for Fidarian. One more, Joseph.
Yeah, could you explain why the fastball offense is so difficult, and you know how do you get to the quarterback against that type of offense?
Oh, it's really just about slowing them down. You know, we got to get out the field on third downs, and you know, we can do that. I think we'll be pretty successful.
Thanks, Phil.
And that was Alabama defensive tackle Fidarian Mathis, who currently leads the Alabama Crimson Tide in sacks this season with 2.5 already. We are still expecting to hear from quarterback Bryce Young in just a matter of moments, who had a huge game this past Saturday against Southern Miss, accounting for 5 total touchdowns in that game. He was named one of the offensive players of the week by the Crimson Tide coaching staff. And again, we also heard from Coach Saban just a few moments ago as well. Again, we will have a complete recap of this press conference in case you have missed any of it so far over on our website, cbs42.com, in just a matter of moments. At the conclusion of this press conference, again, the Crimson Tide are getting set for that top 25 matchup this coming Saturday against the Ole Miss Rebels. Again, that game can be seen right here on CBS 42 on Saturday. That kickoff again for that game will be at 2:30 right here on CBS 42. And we did just get word that the Crimson Tide's next matchup after this next Saturday against the Texas A&M Aggies, the 15th ranked Aggies right now after they lost to Arkansas over the weekend. That game on October 9th in College Station is set to appear at 7 p.m. right here on CBS 42 as well. So back-to-back weeks for the Crimson Tide being over on CBS 42. And again, we did get some information from the good people at Alabama Athletics. They sent us over the Alabama coaching staff's players of the week following that huge win against Southern Miss, 63-14 on Saturday at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Some of the players being honored include Roydell Williams, who had 110 yards on just 11 carries, averaging about 10 yards per carry. Bryce Young, of course, as I mentioned earlier, accounting for 5 total touchdowns and completing nearly 91% of all of his passes, which set a new school record at Alabama, which is pretty phenomenal considering the latest group of talent there. Will Anderson and Christian Harris on the defensive side of the ball, both being named players of the week as well. It appears Bryce has approached the podium, and we will send you there live now.
Yeah, we're both from Southern California. I've always, seen them. It's kind of a tight-knit community as far as just quarterbacks across the country, but especially quarterbacks in SoCal and in the same area. So, I've always known of him. I've worked with him a few times. I've talked to him a few times. So, I have a lot of respect for his game. Again, being able to kind of see him progress from like me remembering him as a freshman in high school to obviously all the things he's doing now. So I have a ton of respect for him.
Michael.
Too, if I could, just first, how would you assess your the downfield passing game through the first 4 games?
I think there's positives and negatives to everything. Think we've hit some stuff downfield, but definitely want to obviously be a lot more consistent. There's some stuff we want to tighten up. There's week to week stuff that we want to improve on, but there's definitely a lot of room for improvement and stuff for us to work on.
Katie.
Michael, do you want to do your second question, or are you good? Okay. Coach Saban just talked about how Lane Kiffin kind of helped him change the offense and his philosophy and taught him a lot about offense. And I guess you probably would have been in like middle school, high school when Lane Kiffin was the OC here, but how do you think him kind of changing it to spread and changing the type of quarterbacks Alabama uses helped get guys like you, Tua and Jalen to come to Alabama?
I haven't necessarily, I wasn't here while Coach Kiffin was here, was being recruited while Coach Kiffin was here, but, I've heard a lot of things just, as far as just being in the offensive room, being in the quarterback room, I've heard a lot of positive things about the stuff that he's brought, he brought while he was here and the stuff that he contributed to the offense. So, I'm really happy with where the offense is now as far as the schematics of it. So obviously there's a lot that myself and us as a unit has to improve on to execute at a higher level. But I'm really excited to be here and really like our scheme.
John.
Bryce, if you had to sum the answer up, what brings all these Southern California quarterbacks to SEC country, which used to be I formation, 3 yards caught of dust and all that?
That's a good question. I can't speak for everyone, obviously, but speaking for myself, this was a place where I was able to compete against the best in practice, and then being in the SEC, being able to compete, against the best, week by week was really big as far as, what was attractive for me here. And the system that we ran was one that translates really well to where everyone wants to go. And you see kind of the development of each quarterback that's been here and, a lot of other, SEC places. But, just speaking on my personal experience, seeing the development of quarterbacks and seeing the success and, this offense being one that, one that can translate to the next level and is one that's really good as far as developing quarterbacks. That was something that was really attractive and, of course, playing and practicing against the best.
Tony.
Given the way that you're able to kind of extend plays with your legs, do you almost like it or invite it when the defense blitzes you, as it kind of gives you a chance to kind of open up plays downfield?
Obviously we can't dictate, what the defense calls, what they bring. So, it's not necessarily a preference one way or the other. We just, throughout the week, we put a plan together of what we're going to do versus the different looks that, that we can expect. And, also there are rules that carry over from the off season that we implement for when things go and, we aren't able to account for everything, or we're faced with the unexpected. So, it's not necessarily it's something we can't control. So, there's really no good in me hoping someone, a defensive play caller does this or that. So, we have plans set in place for, anything we prepare for, and we just try to execute based off whatever we get.
And what kind of goes through your head when you do face that pressure? Like, I know a lot of it's instinctual, but like kind of what's going through your head there?
Yeah, again, we resort a lot to what we've been taught, during the week, during the off season. Again, we have those rules, that preparation. So, it's not a lot of, it's really your mind goes to whatever, whatever read, whatever adjustment, whatever it is that you're supposed to, that, we're working on all week and that we train for all week. Whenever we get whatever look we get, your mind just goes to the practice reps and the reps of film and, trying to figure out the answer.
Charlie.
Yeah, Bryce, obviously you're going to be facing Ole Miss's defense, but do you get excited whenever you have these matchups with another successful quarterback and another high-powered offense?
It's definitely, that's a good question, actually. For me, yeah, like you said, I'm definitely more focused on the defensive end. I'm really just watching defensive film and focusing on what we have to do, what we have to do offensively. That's really kind of how I approach it. Again, that's kind of an external factor that you can't really control as far as, what the other offense runs or, who's on the other side offensively. So, for me, all I'm really looking at is their defense. And, we know that we have to have a really good week of practice. We have to prepare really hard. And really, I'm just focused on trying to, prepare during the week so that we can execute how we like to.
Mike.
Yeah, Bryce, just where would you say your connection is right now with John Mechie, and just what are you seeing from defenses, in terms of defending him?
Yeah, I think Mechie has seen a lot of different looks, a lot of different adjustments, coverage adjustments. That's something that, really I think shows, how good of a player he is, that he's been able to, make a lot of plays despite it. And also, to see he kind of has been getting that respect from the teams we've been playing and their coordinators as far as, him getting thrown a lot of different looks. And, for us as a unit, as an offense, it's on us to combat whatever looks are thrown at us and, ultimately offensively to put points on the board.
Jacob.
Hey, Bryce, the old adage, tight ends are a quarterback's best friend, but you've got two guys that have really come up big for you. You've scored a significant portion of the touchdowns that you've thrown. Just what's it like out there when you're seeing Latu and you're seeing Billingsley and you've got favorable matchups with how diverse tight ends can be in today's game?
Yeah, definitely. Lil and Cam have been a really good, really great, addition for us offensively. For them to both be able to contribute, that I feel like that makes us a lot better offensively. And, I have a tremendous amount of confidence and respect with both of them, being able to see them and us trying to, again, get them some favorable matchups and then be able to contribute both in the pass and run game. It's really unique and, it definitely makes my job a lot easier. So both of those guys, I'm super, super happy to have both of them.
Steven.
Bryce, you came in with Jace McClellan and Roydell Williams, but just Roydell in particular, how have you seen him grow to that next level and being a running back that can contribute here?
Yeah, definitely. Roydell's someone who, who a lot of people don't see the work he puts in. Kind of with a lot of people, it's like that. But Roydell's someone who's always working hard in the weight room, always working hard in practice, always finishing every rep. And I think that really shows. You can tell that hardworking attitude he has and the positivity he brings to the team, it really translates on the field. I mean, someone I feel like has grown a lot as far as being a lot more comfortable in the offense this year, with this being his second year. He's been able to feel everything out. He's been doing really well in practice, and that was the whole off season. And now, especially with more of the success he had last game, to see that is super encouraging. So, I'm excited to see, what the future has in store for him.
Final two questions, Bruce and then Aaron.
Bryce, what do you think has helped you the most? Something that either your parents or maybe your high school coaches instilled in you that probably shaped you in terms of just your temperament and your focus. It seems like you're pretty unflappable and just kind of made this seamless transition. Where do you think that comes from?
Well, I appreciate it, but I'd say there's a few factors. First, honestly, really, I think it comes a lot from my faith. I feel like that's really where I get my power from, and I feel like really my job is just to glorify God out on the field, and I know that he everything's written, and that I can kind of have faith and trust in that, and that kind of allows me to maybe be a little looser, more locked in, really, but really not to not to stress as much as, and also my parents as well. They both that's something that we kind of developed together, but my parents have been really integral in my life and have helped me a lot. And both my parents are athletes, but my father also played football. And he's kind of learned throughout his time playing the sport, and his time just growing up and maturing, him kind of talking to me about my temperament and the positives and negatives, and kind of manage it. But I'm definitely not where I want to be yet. There's definitely a lot of room for improvement as far as just me and my mental. So I'm just looking forward to improving.
Final question, Aaron.
You previously talked about the explosive plays you guys made in the passing game on Saturday night, but you also had your best rushing performance. Does that go hand in hand? How much easier is your job when the defense has to respect the run and you can make some explosive plays in the passing game?
Yeah, I think a balanced offense is something that we always, that we always strive for. When you can be deadly in the rushing game, it's easier to be deadly in the pass game, and vice versa. So I think we all understand how much we lean on each other offensively. When we say it's a unit, it really is a unit. Every position, affects everyone else's. We all have to be in sync, and again, that balanced attack is something that we pride ourselves in, and something that we're still looking to improve on. So, we saw some encouraging stuff, and then again, some stuff that we want to get better at. So we just have to keep working and trying to perfect where we want to be at.
Thanks, Bryce.
Recording.
And that was Alabama football quarterback Bryce Young as they get set. Young and the Crimson Tide get set to take on the Ole Miss Rebels, the number 12th ranked team in the country, on Saturday. Again, that game can be seen right here on CBS 42 starting at 2:30 on Saturday. We also just got news that the next Alabama game against the Texas A&M Aggies, who are also ranked in the top 25, will take place here on CBS 42 as well. That game on October 9th is set for a 7 p.m. kickoff in College Station. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in to this latest edition of CBS 42 Now, where we heard from Coach Saban, defensive tackle Fedarian Mathis, and as you just heard, quarterback Bryce Young, as they get set for Saturday's matchup after defeating Southern Miss by a whopping score of 63-14 last Saturday. We want to thank you again for tuning in, and we hope to see you next time right here on CBS 42 Now.